sip wine, and relax. Tuesday night, you already know what time it is. Shirley's in the house. Threads ready, wine ready. Let's go. Wind down Tuesday, come stitch with me. Good vibes, good friends, and creativity. Wind down Tuesday, we laugh, we learn. Got the machines humming while the threads turn. Ooh, yeah. Shirley's Threadwork in the atmosphere. Shirley's Threadwork in the atmosphere. Got the hoops lined up, fabric on the table, thread shining bright, yo, we ready and able. Quilters in the chat, embroiderers too. Everybody bringing their creative moves. Somebody stitching towels, somebody making bags, somebody buying fabric they already had. We don't judge here, we just create. Pour another glass, don't be late. Beatles dancing, machines singing. Every Tuesday night, you know we bringing love, style, soul, and thread. Wind down Tuesday, come stitch with me. Wind down Tuesday. Good vibes, good friends, and creativity. Wind down Tuesday, we laugh, we learn. Got the machines humming while the threads turn. Ooh, yeah. One stitch at a time, one laugh at a time. Building something beautiful, one night at a time. Wind down. Wind down Tuesday. Wind down Tuesday. Come vibe with me. Threads, quilts, hoops, and creativity.
Well, hello, everybody. Hello, this is Shirley with Shirley's Threadwork. Thank you so much for stopping in. I do appreciate it. Want to say hello and a shout out to everybody out there in YouTube land and Facebook land and everybody that will be watching the replay and all of that. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. Back me up. I was like, okay, I'm sitting on top of the computer right now. So yes, I'm saying hello to everybody. Can you hear me? Hopefully you can. I think you can. Okay. If you can't hear me, of course, make sure you put that in the chat so I'll know. But I'm going to go ahead and say hello to the people that I see in here already. Hello to Sherry. Hi, are you? And to Miss Joy. Hello. Hello, beautiful queen as well. And who else? Who else? Robin, how are you? Let me see. I have Rebecca McGinnis is in here. Okay. Those are the people I see so far. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Miss Joy, I said I broke my neck and then I finally said to get over here on time. I'm always feel late. Girl, when I saw broke my neck, I was like, wait a minute, what happened? What happened? Well, I'm glad that you made it here on time. And whenever you show up, you're on time. You're never late. You might have to watch the replay to catch the whole thing, but whenever you show up, you show up. And hey, Carol, how are you? Hello from the smoke from Smoky, Montana. Is it smoky from the fires up there? I'm pretty sure it is. And hello, Pearl, how are you? I tell you, this weather every day when I look at the news, I'm looking at rain and I'm looking at fire and I'm looking at earthquakes and I'm looking at tornadoes. It's amazing to me. I am just confused and I don't understand what's going on. I wonder sometimes, is this for real? Because it seems like it's every day. Is it ever going to let up and be normal? Or is that such a thing anymore? I don't know. And Robin said, yes, you can hear me. So, and Rebecca said, okay, good. So you guys can hear me, you can see me, and all is well. So that's good. Tonight, we're going to, again, um, as I mentioned on the last few lives that I did ask you guys for suggestions of topics or what have you. And tonight topic was also a suggestion. So that's what we'll be talking about. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Miss Joy, you were the one that recommended this particular topic tonight. So hopefully I'll be able to answer some of the questions or concerns that you have. And if not, please feel free to put it in the chat, and perhaps between all of us, we can come up with a useful answer. So, Carol, you say yes. It smells like campfire at your house. Oh my goodness, that's got to be tiresome because it has been going on for a minute. All out in the state of Washington now. It's up in Canada, and I'm thinking it's still over in California. All of these fires, and even down I want to say, well, I'm not even going to say that because I might be wrong, but I know it's in quite a few places where the fire is going on, and it is just burning crazy. And I do remember about a month ago, it was burning like crazy down in Florida, down there where my son is. So I know it can be rough. And like I said, it seems like this happens every day. You're hearing either about the fires or you're hearing about the flooding and the storms and all of that and everything that's going on. And it just really, really is kind of crazy. So I definitely have my prayers going up for everybody that is in these locations and everybody that have relatives and friends and people that you know in these locations, and pray for their safety as well as the safety of their property, because people are losing their lives savings, their homes where they've lived all of their lives and raised their families and grandchildren and what have you. And it is devastating and sad, and I feel bad about it. So let's send out blessing and good wishes and prayers out for all of the people that are experiencing these kinds of situations. And Cindy, you said the air is clear in Michigan. And hello, thank you for stopping by. So I'm glad to hear that. I just hope all of this stuff ends quickly, quickly. So, other than that, hey Leslie, how you doing? You're here on here early. That's a surprise. But thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate it. So, again, as I was saying, tonight's subject is a subject that came directly from you, asking about how do you find a good class for quilting. So, of course, when I did my research and I consulted with my partner, Fred, to come up with information, I knew that was a very broad um, um, subject, but I thought that we would include more than just quilting. So tonight we're going to cover quilting, embroidery, and just basic sewing. How do you find good classes? Um, so This being Wine Down Tuesday, grab your glass of whatever it is that you're drinking tonight and get comfortable, sit back, relax, and join into the conversation as usual. No question is a bad question. All questions are good questions. All comments are appreciated and welcome. And we will go ahead and move forward with that and see if we can't come up with some information. And like I said, I realized that the quilting was bigger than just quilting, because the same problem exists with embroidery and clothing construction and home decor, sewing, all of those kinds of things. We never seem to feel like we have enough information or instruction, because if we knew it all, then we wouldn't be, um, needing any kind of instructions or classes. And as you all know, if you go onto YouTube, which YouTube University is definitely a wonderful place to learn how to do most of the crafting and any other thing that you're interested in. You can pretty much do that by going through YouTube University, but you have to be careful, because you can just type in one sentence or one query and you're going to come up with thousands of choices, and you have to decide out of all of those multiple choices that come up which one is going to be the best for you, because everybody doesn't teach the same and everybody doesn't provide you with useful information, correct information, or even understandable information. I know there have been many of times that I have gone onto YouTube and put in my query to find how to do some type of technique or what have you, and I would come up with everything but what I'm looking for. So you have to deep dive sometime to find. And to be perfectly honest about it, that's what prompted me to start my channel. And I know I've been away from it for a minute, and I definitely got to get better with that. I'm so sorry, but it's just really hard for me to get all of the tutorials and stuff and do my live and do my work and all that stuff, and enough of the excuses and everything. But what really got me started on my channel in general, even before I started doing the live, if you guys have been following me for a while, I started off doing tutorials. And the main reason was because I had my Brother PR1055X multi-needle machine, but it was so difficult for me to find anybody that was doing any type of tutorials or instructions or lessons or anything on how to use the machine. And it was like, mm, I got plenty of information on how to use a single needle machine, and I have to give credit where credit is due. Eve was on my live last week, and I shouted her out, and I always will, as my mentor, because I was lucky and blessed enough that at that time, 5 years ago, she was mainly into embroidery, and she had a lot of really useful, wonderful, and even entertaining videos up showing you the basics of embroidery, the very beginning, baby step embroidery. And I embraced her channel and I watched it religiously. I even watched her every Sunday night. I looked at some of her recorded videos, all of that. And that's what got me started and where my comfort level came from. And I was working on my SE 1900 at the time, my first embroidery machine, and I was learning exactly how to use it, how to hoop, how to, troubleshoot all of those things and learning different techniques using those videos and stuff. So it is definitely, you are definitely able to learn a skill through YouTube University. But I also learned, which is probably one of the reasons why the question was brought up about how do you find good classes. I also learned and realized that everybody that is out here giving you tutorials or instructions or lessons don't necessarily teach well, or um, and I don't want to say don't teach well, but they weren't giving me what I needed. And so that in itself is what we're looking at and what we're going to be talking about tonight, and being able to discern what is considered a good class and what is not. And also the other thing that I am noticing a lot is more and more people are coming up with these memberships and schools, SKOOL, which is a platform now, SKOOL schools, where you actually pay. And oftentimes it's not inexpensive, it's kind of pricey, where you pay monthly or one flat fee or whatever in order to join their classes so they can teach you what you were able to get off of YouTube free. So please keep that in mind. Not disparaging any of that, because that is exactly what business is all about. And I've even considered it myself. Who knows? Maybe I will. Because if you're giving away valuable information, why not get paid for it? So I'm not upset about that. But just keep in mind before you shell out your money to make sure that what it is that you're buying is going to give you exactly what you need, or at least close to what you're looking for. So again, that's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about, it's not going to be a popularity contest. I'm not going to tell you pick this person over that person. I will give you a list of names and different sites that I have visited myself. Most of them I have, not all, and give you my opinion on the ones that I have visited and what I have used myself. I will give you my personal opinion. It is not um, information that I want you to say, well, Shirley said this is better than that one. I'm not saying any of that. What I will tell you is what I have gotten out of the ones that I have actually looked at in order to learn something. So just make sure you keep that in mind. So yeah, we're going to learn how to recognize a real good teacher, how to choose the instruction for your current level, which is very important. When free YouTube is enough, or when a paid course may save you time and frustration, and how to find good hands-on classes near you as well. So I'm going to try to add all of that into this conversation tonight. And again, as usual, we do need participation, and we do need you to chime in with your answers and everything. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, what is one sewing, quilting, or embroidery skill, whichever one, you have tried to learn online, but you still do not feel confident in doing it? So either one of those, it could be quilting, sewing, embroidery, or all of them, whatever, that you've actually gone online, took a course, or watched a tutorial, or what have you, but you still don't feel quite confident in doing it. Not asking who you watched, but what type did you watch? Was it sewing? Was it quilting? Was it embroidery? For me, I'll go first. Mine, and it's more than one, but my main one, since I have begun to dabble into quilting, my main one that I have gone online, and I really do believe is my fault, not the people that I've been watching, but for quilting, I have yet to master mitering corners. And that frustrates me because I know in the past, in my past life, when I used to sew all the time, I mitered corners and I did pretty good. But for some reason, I just can't, not yet, been able to master that. I've gotten better. Every quilt that I do, I tend to get better, but I haven't developed the confidence in saying, oh yeah, I know how to miter corners on the binding of a quilt. So that's my thing. So anybody else want to put anything else in the chat that they have um, had issues with, where they've watched online and do not feel confident in? Hi, Eva Marie, how are you? You say embroidery. Okay. And Miss Joy, I have learned my last three crafting journeys from YouTube University, sewing and quilting, embroidery, all three in the last year and a half. Okay, that's great. And Pearl, you're saying collage quilting, which I don't even know what that is. I got an idea. I know what a collage is, and I know what quilting is, so I'm assuming it's the same thing. Hi, one pixie stick. Hi, how you doing? Thank you for stopping in. I Your name is new to me, so welcome, welcome, welcome. If you've been here before, forgive me for forgetting, but I'm glad to see you. And you said yours is quilting on your machine. Leslie, that is the same for me too. I'm assuming you're saying mitering corners. And Terry Hunt, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. And Sherry, you're saying embroidery and working on quilts. And Pearl, you said, does learning in brilliance count? Yes, it does. It does count. Whatever you've gone on. And Robin, painting on fabric. Okay. And Sean, hi, welcome. My miter corner is now great, but I kept practicing. I do have a fun technique that I need to make a video of. Please do. And let us know when it comes out. And thank you for watching, because I know I have tried. And every time I think I have it down pat, I follow the technique like it says. When I'm done. It didn't come out the way I wanted it to come out. I was like, doggone it, am I gonna ever get this right? And okay, Marie said, good one. Yeah. Who else? Cindy, my challenge is machine stitching completely the binding on a quilt. And Miss Joy, please, Sean, help. Okay. She's talking to Sean. Okay. And one pixie stick. I want to learn digitizing embroidery designs also is hard. Yes. Digitizing is hard. And Sean says EQ8 is my current challenge. I'm working on it slowly. Yeah, I did do I have EQ8. I know I talked to you about that before. And I used it very cursory. It was not deep dive in. I figured out how to create a pattern for my 250th anniversary quilt. So the quilt that I have hanging up on the wall, and yeah, my room is all around. Actually, well, let me finish my statement, then I'll tell you. But I did create my pattern for my 250th anniversary quilt that I did, the last one I did with EQ8. So I was very happy with that. But I have to admit, it was so let me say, elementary. That's better. It was so elementary. I didn't read anything. I just pushed button and figured it out, but I have to learn that software. And that may be something that will be a challenge in my Zoom group, because I think it is at least 3 or 4 of us in Zoom, in my Zoom group, that has EQ8. So that's enough of us to get together and figure out how to use that software. So Sherry, you say you're just starting EQ8 journey. And who else? I just took a class on EQ8, Sean, you said, and it was wonderful. Now you got to use it. Good. And Carol, I want to learn how. Ah, girl, you tickling me. Now, she said, I want to learn how to retire. I failed last week and signed a new 2-year work contract. Oh, no. Well, 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 good luck. Obviously, there was something that you felt you wanted to do. So at some point you will figure it out, and then you will go ahead. I can't say anything because I was retired for 5 years before I came here and went back to work, so I can't say a word. And Sean, you said we need to work on our 2-year path. Yep. And Miss Joy says, what is EQ8? Well, Sean, do you want to tell her what EQ8 is? And Sean, Pearl is saying to Carol, if you love what you're doing, you're okay. And that part is true. If you sign up for 2 more years of working, hopefully you love your job, because I would not want to be trapped into 2 more years of something I didn't enjoy doing. But good luck with that, and hopefully all is well. And just keep on plugging away. You will learn how to retire. I promise you that. Because I'm trying to relearn that. I'm seriously thinking about that coming up in the next year or so, because I'm telling you, I want to go back to what I was doing before I started back to working, and that was being retired. It is definitely something worth doing. Okay, so um, here you go, Sean is saying. Sean is saying EQ8 is a program for designing quilt patterns and more. It is a software program where you can design your own quilt pattern. And it's a big, huge, robust um, software platform that is, you can do so much. You can take pictures of your fabric and put it in there. It has sample fabric. But if you take a picture of your own personal fabric and put it into the program, scan it in, then you can literally formulate or design your own pattern. And you'll know exactly how your quilt is going to look, the quilt top is going to look. You can put how many squares you want. You can put sashes in there and not have sashes. You can put double borders. You can do everything with it. So it does a lot. And they do have tutorials. They have training books and all kinds of stuff. So if you don't do like me, and take the time to properly learn how to use the program, you can do wonderful things. I am a hard-headed person when it comes down to software and technology. I like to dive in with both feet and figure it out myself until I get to a point where I can't figure it out. And then I start reading and learning how to do it. So I go backwards. I start backwards. But I managed to figure it out some kind of way. So anyway, we're going to talk about these classes and stuff. And the big distinction is between watching and learning. You can watch someone put a zipper in, you can watch someone miter a corner, you can watch them do all of these things beautifully and still not be able to do it. And I know that for a fact because yes, when I watch some of the tutorials that they have out there available. I watch it, I watch it, I watch it, and I still can't do it. And it says, you know, learning happens when you understand the reason behind it and you practice the process. Just as Sean say, you have to practice. Then you can recognize what you did wrong and then you can repeat it without copying every movement. Now, I know a lot of projects that I've done, and if you guys have done the same thing, you can chime in. I have watched a tutorial on how to do, let's say, a zipper bag, a zipper pouch. And I watched the tutorial, and oftentimes I'll look at a process, I'll stop the video, then I'll do the process, then I'll start the video over again, watch the next process, stop the video, do the process, and continue to do that until I have completed the project. And that works for me. But can I tell you whether or not I can do this project again without watching that video again? And the answer 9 times out of 10 is going to be no. I will have to watch the video again and follow it step by step by step like I did. So did I learn how to do that or did I just copy the process? And that is the difference. That is the difference. For me, I am very much visual and I'm very much hands on. And in order for me to truly learn something, I have to, one, see it done, and two, do it myself. I can watch you do it 55 times, but unless I actually do it myself, it's not going to stick. And oftentimes, if I do it myself and mess it up, which happens often, then that's when I learn how to do it correctly. Because after I figure out what I did wrong, then I remember it better. Don't do it this way, do it that way. That's just the way I learn. So everybody has their own way of learning stuff and everything. So the most important thing is when you are looking at a video, a tutorial, or whatever, are you learning or are you just copying? And that is something that is based upon how you learn. So Pixie Stick says, your hands on learning too. And Joy says, I've been talked into practicing and stopped worrying about wasting material on my practicing. No, ma'am, don't do that. Buy you some junk fabric. Go to Walmart, get you some cheap fabric. They have, you can get plain colors. They don't cut, most Walmarts don't cut anymore. So you can get what is it, 2 yards for $4 or something like that. It's not very expensive. And let this be your practice fabric. And then if you messed up on a garment of some kind, don't throw that away. Let that be your practice garment and keep practicing whatever you mess up on until you are comfortable and you learn that process, whatever it is. If it's hooping, if it's stabilizing, if it is applique, whatever it is that you're having difficult with learning how to do, even in your quilting, if you can't get your points together or whatever, you can't cut it out straight like me, whatever it is, just keep practicing and practicing until you get it right. Then you'll learn because if you're like me, you learn from your mistakes. And Sherry, you said facts, so you basically go along with what I'm saying. And even Marie, she said she uses old clothes. And as one pixie stick says, which is true, which we were told ever since kids, I'm pretty sure, practice makes perfect. The more we do something, the better we become at it and the easier it gets. Hi, Marina. How are you? Thank you for stopping. And you said, I still have to watch the same video. Girl, please tell me about it. I still have to watch the same video every time I go to perfectly join the ends of my binding. I claim my age and lack of retention for things I find challenging. Well, uh, that could very well be it, but I think that's a lot of us. So for me, I'm the same way. When I get ready to do a project, usually I will pull up a video, whether it's one I've already seen or look one up just to refresh my memory. I'm going to be honest, but I'll look at some of my own videos. Stuff that I've actually put out there as a tutorial for you guys to see. When I get ready to repeat it, I will go look at my own video just to see the steps that I did just to refresh my memory. And I'm like you, Marina, I put it up to age. I don't remember things as well as I used to. I don't learn as quickly and easily as used to. And I know that a big part of that is age, and that's just, human nature. I'm not embarrassed about it and I'm not ashamed to admit it. But I will forget. But I refresh my memory before I start on a project that I have not done in a while, just to make sure that I don't forget the steps, because it is easy to forget a step or two or forget even how to start some if you have not done it a while. But if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, it sticks. It becomes like rote memory, like we learned our ABCs singing the alphabet song. We learned to count by going over and over and over. We learned our timetables by going over and over and over. And now we're old as dirt and we still remember most of that. Probably not all of it, but we remember most of it because it was learning. We just kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it until it became second nature. Rebecca McGinnis, you say, I have a basket of messed up polo shirts. I cut the shirts up to complete stitch out to show customers to approve the design before I embroider that shirt. Okay. Um, and Sean, I do the same. I watch a lot of my videos from memory. Okay, there you go. Now I feel good. I don't feel embarrassed. But I know I will pull up my video on the New York Heartbeat and say, okay, now let me see what I did. Oh, yeah, okay, I remember that. And then I move on. And I move on. So, okay. Now there are four different values of classes or YouTube stuff or learning. And they all have their different value, but they do not do the same job. So entertainment, if we watch a YouTube video of people that you enjoy, that, makes your day or whoever, some people do this. Cindy say prayers too. I agree with that. I agree with that, Cindy. But Entertainment is for enjoyment, community, and ideas, and a repeatable technique. That's what you can get out of it. So you enjoy watching a certain content creator, and you put that person on your list that you're going to watch them all the time. Perfect example. And I'm not calling this person out because I really do admire her, and I'm going to go back to Eve. um, when I started watching Eve in the beginning, I was watching her because I was learning a lot. And the more I watched her, the more I enjoyed the community, the camaraderie, and I enjoyed her as a person, her bubbly nature, her fun nature, and she is entertaining. And if you watch some of her old videos, I don't watch a lot of her stuff now because I'm not into rhinestone that deeply like she does now. But when she was mainly doing embroidery, she had some pretty entertaining videos that she put up, and it drew me to her, and I enjoyed watching her, and that's how I learned. But it was for community. Once I got the basic and stuff down, my continuation was for the community, the camaraderie, and the enjoyment. Now, the another value is inspiration, where you get motivation and possibilities, and then you get detailed construction. That reminds me of Design by Juju stuff, or Power Tools with Thread stuff. You see all kinds of different stuff, and you get motivated, and they give you detailed instructions. Another one is project tutorial step. Um, you get step by step by step by step, and it completes a skill foundation. Those are really good if you want to learn how to do something in particular. And then you have structured classes where you have sequences, explanation, and practice. And that same casual variety is really useful. Uh, what comes to mind right now would be the Fat Quarter Shop. Is that the name of it? Where the first time I ever made a quilt, and I recommend her, and I will go through that a little bit more. But the very first quilt that I made, I took that. I think it was a 9-part series of doing a quilt, and I watched it. It's still on her on the Fat Quarter Shop site, and it's free, and it goes step by step by step, and it is sequence, and it is explanation, and you do the practice because it tells you what to do, and it um it tells you what to do, and then you do it. And that's exactly what I did. And I completed the quilt. And I have to be honest about I was quite pleased with what I did because I had never made a quilt before in my life. And I got my points. The only thing that I didn't do, which I realized quickly, well, I already knew that, but I proved to myself I couldn't cut a straight line and save my neck. Thus, the AccuQuilt came into play because I did mess up some fabric, uh, and I bought their quilt kit that came with well, it didn't come with the class. The class was free. You purchased the kit that they use for the class, but they didn't give you extra fabric, which I think they need to include extra fabric or at least have extra fabric available to purchase, which they did not at the time because yes, I messed it up and I had to literally go out and try to find something close and similar to what I was using in order to finish it because I ran out of fabric in the colors and stuff that was there. But anyway, Fat Quarter Shop, if you really want to learn how to quilt, that is my recommendation. So, people are asking, hi, Jess Craft Therapy, how are you? Thank you for stopping by. And so, Pearl, you said I just claimed a senior moment. Uh, And Cindy said, I have yet to catch Eve. What is her channel and time? One Pixie Six said Jeanette Wood does great instruction video. Yes, she does, and that is Baroque Sewing and Craft that comes on Friday nights, I believe, at 8 o'clock. And Eve is unique and special woman. This is from Joy. She is the one that wrote me in here, learning rhinestones and then introducing me to sewing quilts, embroidery, and community, all of that. She is very good. And she is the baby's booty. The baby's booty is the name of her channel. And she's been on over 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. She's been on for a while. And Robin says she does come on Sunday night, and I believe it is 9 o'clock, like you said. Now she does mostly rhinestone now, but she does have a history. And Miss Joy, the baby's booty, which is Eve, is Sunday. Oh, this is 6 p.m. California time. Yeah, which is 9 p.m. Central time, or is it Eastern time? She's Eastern. So it's probably 9 o'clock Eastern time because she's in Carolinas. So that's Eastern. Um, Cindy said, I thought it was on making items for babies, just the name of it. I will try and watch. No, ma'am. The story is, and I'll get off of that quickly. She got started because she did make some baby items when she first started, small 4x4 machine. And that's what got her business started because she took the items to a baby shower. Everybody loved it. Everybody wanted some. So she started making it for friends and families and this one and that one. And her business grew. And so when she decided to have a channel or whatever, she decided to name it The Baby's Booty. But no, she does not do baby clothes. Right now, she's doing rhinestone on all kinds of different items and blanks and stuff. And she's done a multiple. She's she's done rhinestone sublimation, DTF, rhinestone. She did resins and you name it. She's probably done some of it, and I followed her through all of that. Um, okay, so look her up. And Joy, yes, thank you so much, Miss Joy. Do not forget, I always forget, thumbs up is very important. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell, and subscribe. Those of you that have come in here that are new, I don't recognize your name. Please subscribe while you're in here, please. Doesn't cost a dime. Just hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate it, and it is definitely something that benefits the channel. And yes, when she started on embroidery, she did make baby stuff, and that's kind of how it all went. And she does have a wealth of knowledge, and she loves to share it. She does really, really good. So, back to those four things: entertainment, inspiration, project, tutorial, and structure class. None of those, of course, are bad, but the problem is when we expect a project video to provide a complete education, you have to decide what it is that you're getting. Is it giving you what it is that you want? So, what makes a good class good? So let's create a test we can use before we give an instructor 2 hours of our time or $200 of our money. And trust me, there are some courses out there that will cost you a couple $100 or more. First, a good class identifies who it is for. If they tell you something is beginner friendly, that should mean more than I have a friendly voice. If they tell you, and I want to emphasize that because I know that there are people that have paid money to take classes that were told it was beginner friendly, and it was not. There are classes that will be offered, and it will say all levels are welcome. All levels will be able to comprehend. All of those kinds of things. And that's not necessarily true. And I know I had mentioned a while back about taking classes, especially at these expos, and it tells you all levels are acceptable. And then you sit down in front of a serger machine and you've never seen a serger machine, no less sewn on one, and they're doing a project. You don't know how to turn it on. You don't know what the differential feed is. You don't know what the cutting is. You don't know airflow from. You don't know the upper looper from the lower looper. You don't know nothing. I knew nothing about a serger when I bought one, but I did the reading and the all of the stuff to go with it so I could understand what was all about. And I'm still learning about a serger. But if you go to a class that you paid money and everybody else in there had paid money and you don't even know how to put the needle in, you don't know how to thread the machine, you don't know how to turn it on, you don't know what knobs to turn and what have you, and they're trying to do a project, you're taking up the instructor's time because they have to come and help you, then the other people don't learn. They don't get what they want out of it. So beginner friendly, that's not a fair description of this job of this course. They need to tell you you need to have some knowledge of the basic knowledge of a serger. That's what they need to tell you. You need to know the basic of a serger. You need to know the basic of a sewing machine. You need to know the basic of an embroidery machine. If you're going to take these classes, you need to know what a doggone hoop is, a stabilizer is. You need to know these things. You need to know that you got to have a design in order to stitch something. It just doesn't stitch out what you want if you didn't pull up a design or put a design in there. People don't know that if they've never done it. And then you pay money to take a class and now you can't do the class because you don't have a clue what they're doing. Especially if it's not a live class or a Zoom class or something where you can literally ask a question, you just going along with a video, you can be very lost, very lost. So does a teacher explain? This is what you want. You want to know, does the teacher explain the machine, the tools, the terms, or do they just assume the skill? Does the beginner need to know how to read a pattern? If you're going to make a garment or some kind, do you know how to read a pattern or lay out a pattern? If you're going to make a quilt, the first time I ever saw a pattern for a quilt, first of all, I didn't even know you needed a pattern for a quilt. And the first time I ever saw a pattern for a quilt, I didn't know what that stuff was. I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't even know how to read it. I didn't understand it. So you can't assume something. It's beginner friendly, but if you're not teaching the basics in this beginner friendly class, then that class may not be the one that you want. So you have to explore before you shell out your money and your time whether or not all of these things are included. And hopefully the people that are in the class along with you, especially if it's a live one, are in the same boat, because if not, you're really messing up the rest of the people because the instructor has to spend a lot of time with you. And personally, I don't think that's fair. I really don't, because I want to move on. What's next? What's next? What's next? And you can't go to what's next because you got to help Miss Thing over here figure out how to turn the doggone machine on, or thread the machine, or put a needle in. I've literally have been in classes where I had to show a person how to put a needle in a machine. They did not know how to change the needle in their machine. So I mean, it can get like that. Um, the second thing is, are the instructions good and do they explain the why behind doing something? When a teacher says use cutaway, you should want to know, why are you using cutaway? What's the difference? When a teacher say to stay the stitch with this curve, you want to know if what is it preventing, what's stretching. When a quilter says to press it the way they press it, you want to know why. You want to know why this is a good reason to do that. So what if they give you the why behind it instead of just say do it, then you remember it and you understand it and you go forward with that. Um, so And then you want to learn the terminology. That's the other thing. Thirdly, a good teacher shows you the important parts clearly. They can have the prettiest, the neatest, and the stylish studio. But if they're showing you how to do something on a machine and in the video their hands is covering up the process and you can't see anything but the back of their hand, the back of their head, or the floor or whatever, you have not shown them how to do it. So if they don't have the camera positioned correctly where you can actually see the job, that's not a good class. 'Cause I didn't see you do it. You told me, but I did not see it. I need to see where your hand is positioned. I need to see where the needle is. If you're cutting something, I need to see that. I need to know exactly what it is that you're doing. If you don't see that stuff like that, that may or may not be a good class for you. And fourth, good teaching includes the trouble. Uh, an instructor who says, this is where puckering gets. You need to explain, or if you mess something up and it puckered, let them see that and then show them how to correct the puckering. That's the best way of doing. Don't cut that out, like nothing ever goes wrong. I mentioned back when my Zoom class, we were doing the Christmas tree skirt as a group. First, when we first got together, that was our first project we did, and we watched Becky Thompson Power Tools with Thread. Excellent, excellent instructor. She goes through everything. Turn the machine on. Here is the knob. Everything. So you can't say that she did not tell you what to do or how to do it. But the one thing that we all agreed, she was showing us how to get our align our seams together. And we followed her, did it exactly the way she showed us to do it. And every time she would align her seams together with the pin, and she told us how to put the pin in and all of that kind of stuff, and stitch it out and pull it up. And then she'll look at it and she said, perfect, it's perfect. And it would be perfect. And we would do it, and ours would not be perfect. And we was like, why is hers always perfect and ours are not? So my question always was, is she cutting something out, which is her prerogative to do so. But we never could figure out why hers came out perfect every time and ours did not come out perfect every time. We continued to do it and figured it out and got it to be as close to perfect as possible. Some of mine were perfect, some of mine were close to perfect, but we never saw the imperfection. We never saw that. So it's important to let people know if you're doing something, mistakes can and will be made. And if you make the mistake, show them how to correct the mistake. I stitched this, I put it on there, I did the pin process, and it didn't quite come out right. Rip that out with the seam ripper, readjust it, pin it, and stitch it again. Now it's perfect. So that lets the viewer know if I mess mine up and it doesn't come out perfect, that's normal. Doesn't mean you don't know what you're doing or you didn't learn. That's just normal. Sometimes things aren't going to come out perfect the first time you do it. And that part is definitely true. Um, a lot of people came in. Jenny Hancock, how are you? And let me see. Evelyn Warner, how are you? It's hot in Orlando. Okay. Yeah. Uh, let me see who else. And Boyd Apparel and Designs LLC. You said that's why I watched at least 50 embroidery videos before I bought my single needle. I bought supplies before I got my machine. I watched a lot of videos before I got my machine as well. I did. I watched videos, I read reviews, I did a lot of stuff. By the time I got even my SE 1900, I knew how to thread it. I knew what hooping was. I knew how to basically operate the machine before I got it. When I got my 10 needle machine, I I did the exact same thing. I watched a ton of videos. When they brought my machine in, I was able to thread it, and the first thing I did was a cap because I had watched things so much. I felt comfortable, and trust and believe me, I did that cap my first try. But I had studied and studied and studied and watched and watched and watched. So yeah, it definitely helps. And Sean said, yes, that is why I now have a slew of cameras. Yes. It is important to have those angles where people can see or move your camera. I don't have a bunch of cameras yet. I have more than one, but I haven't figured out how to get everything set up the way I want to. But I have mine on my tripod. And if you watch my videos, you will see me go from a table, then you will see me at the machine, and you'll see me back at the table. I'm going to take you where the job is being done so you can see it and be able to visualize that. Hi, Sharon Davenport. How are you? Okay, you got family and friends over. That is wonderful. And one pixie stick says, I like when person shows what tools are being used in that project or instructions. That is good as well. I really like the ones, and I try to do that. And I think I picked that up from all things Sean, watching her, and she does an excellent job as well. And a few other people that I've watched, Creative Application, she does Dawn from Creative Application, she does this as well. She makes sure that she lays out every thing that you need to do the project. And I try to remember to do that as well when I'm doing a tutorial as well. From your fabric, your rotary color, your marker, your pins, your ruler, your hoop, everything that you need to complete this project. I try to lay that out, or I watch videos, and I really appreciate the videos that do that. So you'll know what you need. If you want to make, so right now I'm working, I'm haven't started, but I'm gonna do some bandana totes. And I know I've watched a zillion of those. It looks like a very easy project, which I'm pretty sure it is. But what I like about the ones that I have watched, they give you the measurements for that particular tote. And there are some that even show you how they cut it out, how they stitched it together, the whole 9 yards, which makes the project look like you can do that. So you don't have to worry about, oh, well, I don't know if I can do that. They show you the project, and next thing you know, it's a completed project. That's kind of my thing about shorts. You watch a short, and they'll show you from the beginning to the end in 60 seconds. No, I didn't learn anything. I just know you made a beautiful project. But I don't have a clue how you got from point A to point B. But it piques your interest, and I think that's what the purpose of a short is, to pique your interest so you'll go ahead and watch the video. So I get that concept, but you don't really learn anything by watching a short. You just learn that they did a project and turned out cute. And my son has come in. Miss Joy, if you see a strange name up here, that's my son. Don't worry about it. Um, and Cindy says that Sean Go Savage Design by Sean, you are excellent in all areas, plus the fun side. Yes, she is. And she has her fun day Sunday on Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time. Because she's in, I want to say Texas. I hope I'm right. I think you're in Texas. Um, Let me see. Cindy said, glad you popped in to support your mom. Yeah, he pops in and out. He does. He supports his mommy. Okay, anybody else? Claudette, how you doing? Thank you for dropping in. Let me see if anybody else has dropped in that I haven't spoken to yet. Any comments? Okay. All righty. Okay, now, when you are, this is another question. When you are watching, and you can put the answer in the chat, What matters most to you when you are watching a video, a tutorial? And I think we may have kind of touched on it a little bit. A clear camera, slow explanations, written directions, troubleshooting, or the ability to ask questions. So for me, and again, it's clear camera, slow explanation, written direction, troubleshooting, or the ability to ask questions. I'm going to say my main concern, definitely you want a clear camera because if you can't see it, then you can't see it, and that doesn't help you. But a slow explanation is really important to me. I have watched some of the dime, and I haven't even watched one in a minute, but I used to watch some of the dime tutorials, and of course, it's a tutorial on their product, which they want to sell their product, but that's fine. That's what they do because I do have some of their products, and the ones that I have I really like. Their software products, and they have this one particular person. I don't even remember her name, and if I did, I wouldn't call her out. But anyway, it frustrates me because she knows what she's talking about, but some people that know it can't teach it because she goes so fast. And there's another content creator, and I won't call that person out either, that I watch occasionally that does the same thing. They got it up here. They know exactly what they're doing, but they're talking so fast and they're moving their mouths around and they're here and they're there. And well, I'm gonna put it here and I'm gonna click there and I'm gonna click here and I'm gonna click there and boom, there it is. I can't follow that. That's not useful to me. You haven't even given me time to find where you're clicking. If you put your mouse up and say, I put my mouse on this, put your mouse up here on this icon and click it and flick it and so forth and so on. I haven't even seen the mouse yet, and you've already moved to 3 different places. That doesn't help me because I don't even know where you started. So that frustrates me a lot. That's not a tutorial that's gonna be useful to me because I would have to watch it, slow it down, freeze it, all of that just to figure out where did you click. I can't click on that icon if I did not see the mouse on what icon you're talking about. So if you move that fast, that is not beneficial to me. Rebecca McGinnis said, I agree. I always have to rewind and listen again 3 or 4 times. Yes. That's frustrating. I want to follow you. I want to learn. I want to see what you're doing. But if you are moving, and I don't know if you can see my mouse, but if you got here and there and there and there and there and on, and then you expect for me to say, "Oh yeah, that's cool." You come up with whatever it is that you're creating, and I don't have a clue how you got to that point because I didn't see anything that you did because I didn't even see the mouse. You didn't give the audience a chance to see where is the mouse first. Then click on this one. Describe what icon is, where the icon is located. It's in the upper left corner, third from the first one, or it looks like a circle with a dot in it, or something. Tell people what it is that you're doing so we can follow you. Those are the things that um, that are beneficial. So when you're looking at these tutorials and trying to decide what you want, you know, if it's free, it's not a big deal. But if you're paying for it, that's a big deal. That is a big deal. So um, every teacher is not best for everybody. Everybody learns differently. Some people want you to be calm and carefully explains. Another becomes impatient and wants the instructor to get to the point. And then one person learns by just reading stuff on their own, and another needs the hands-on position 3 or 4 times. They need to see exactly where you're putting your hand and what you're doing. I'm one of these people that fall into all of those things because I do want you to be calm. I want you to explain to me what you're doing, but I also sometimes want you to get to the point. And and I know that's not fair because everybody else is watching besides me. I may pick up on something a little quicker and I want to move on to the next, but I understand the tutorial or the class or whatever is for everybody and their needs, and I appreciate and will be okay with allowing you to take your time and teach it like you're teaching it to a third grader. I took a couple courses at the original sewing and quilt expo that I went to this past Thursday and Friday. I took a course on Thursday and I took a class on Friday. My Friday class was a hands-on class. So those are the most important classes because you have to do it. The instructor was very good. I was very satisfied this time with both of my classes. The last time I went to the expo in Virginia, I have to admit I was not happy with the class. But these two were very good. But the one that did it was a serging class with using your serger. And when she came in there, she introduced herself and gave us a little bit about her background, and she explained that she used to be an elementary teacher, and she taught kindergarten or first grade, little bitty kids. And she said, "Forgive me if I talk like I'm talking to my little bitty kids, but I want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. And if you don't, please ask questions." And I appreciated the way she did it. She did not talk down to us, but she was very clear in her explanation. She repeated herself. You didn't have to ask her to repeat because she would tell you something, then she would repeat it, and then she would ask you to repeat it back sometimes. Or did you understand? And wait for an acknowledgement. So that gave a person that didn't understand the opportunity to say, "Can you go over that again?" if they chose to. I appreciated that because the class stayed on point. We completed everything with a few minutes to spare, which that had never happened before in any class that I took. And we did a lot of different things, but the teaching style was good. And her assistant also was good. She was a rep for Baby Lock, and we were all on Baby Lock sergers. And the other thing that was good, we had the Baby Lock Victory, which was a 4 thread, and the Baby Lock, something other, the top of the line that had 8 spools, but she only had 3 on it. But it was a top of the line and then a lower level. And I got on the lower level because that fit my Celebrate. It was almost just like my Celebrate, and I wanted to be on something that would I could take this information and put it to my machine. I didn't want to get on the big fancy machine and learn how to use that, and it had nothing to do with what I got at home. So I got on the Victory, and I was pleased with it because it was almost just like my serger at home. So I'll be able to translate that to my machine. But anyway, she explained how to do it on the Victory, and she explained how to do it on the Alliance or whatever that other machine was, which was good because everybody in there could keep up with it. It wasn't like, "Oh, you're not on the right machine." She talked about both. So she was a good instructor. And that's something you don't mind spending your money on. I did not mind spending my money on that particular class. Um, Cindy said, "I think they want you to know that they are superior to you on the subject." That could be true. That could be true. Some people, Pearl says, some people instruct, some people teach, but there are those that don't know the difference. And Evelyn said, and some you still don't can't, uh, you still can't understand them. And that is true. So all of those things are things that you need to take into consideration when you are choosing a course. when you are, especially if you're going to pay for the course, you need to know what kind of teacher that you're dealing with before you buy the course. If they have a free video or something that you can watch that so you can see what their teaching style is. Check out whether or not if you understand the vocabulary that they're using. Does the personality keep you engaged, or does it put you to sleep? Do you finish looking at the video and then feeling like, okay, yeah, I think, I can watch her and she can teach me. If not, then I wouldn't recommend, especially paying for it. So there's a 10-point class quality test that you need to do when you're trying to make up your mind. One, the level and prerequisites are clearly stated. That's basically, if it says beginner friendly, is it truly beginner friendly? Intermediate or advanced? You need to know. And where you need to know and be honest with yourself. Where do you fit? You need to know what the supply list is and whether or not it can be completed and available early. Can you get the supplies before the class? Number three, the instructor explains both what you do and why. What you're supposed to do, why you're supposed to do that, so you'll understand. Number four, the camera angles show the critical work. You need to see them do it on the camera. I love the people that have the overhead camera that points right down to their cutting mat or their machine or whatever, and the ones that cover it up with their hands because they don't realize they are in the way. If you're looking at your camera when you're making your tutorial, you can pretty much see whether or not your audience can see what it is you're doing. And if you edit your video, you definitely can see that. Now, if you're good at editing and stuff like that, which I'm not that good at it, I tried, but I'm not that good. If you can add that step in there some kind of way to so they can see exactly where your hand was, where the needle was, where the rotary cutter, scissors, or whatever it is that they needed to see, how you pinned it, whatever the situation is, make sure that that is something that is uh, available. Number four, they need to explain the measurements, the seam allowance size, the hoop sizes, and whatever settings that you need to be putting your machines on and everything in order to come out with the best result. Now, everybody's going to use a different machine, so they're not going to tell you the specific setting. They just need to give you the basis, but you definitely need the measurement of whatever it is that you're doing. You have to have your seam allowance if you're sewing something together. And you need to know the hoop sizes that they're using as well as what that design will allow. If you're doing perfect example, Sean, I'm going to take an example from the project that you and your group are currently working on, the Kimberbell autumn pillow, bench pillow. And you have three people, you, Miss Linda, and two other ladies, can't remember their names, sorry for that, but you have two other ladies plus you and Miss Linda are working on the pieces that goes with this pillow that you put together, that you have to put together. And I've done a Kimberbell pillow before, so I know the process and all of that. But one of the ladies has I believe a 4x4. I believe she does have a 4x4, and another lady is using her multi-needle machine. So you're using different. They are using different hoop sizes. The lady with the 4x4 is learning how to use her multi-positional hoop to make her project. Those things are important. When they got started, they realized that they could do the project with what they had. It was explained to them, and you have explained to as well as you go. I hope I got all that correct because I've been watching you. I've been watching you. But anyway, it is working out well because it really lets people know you can do this project with what you have. You don't have to have the same thing. Because back it up, I did and I think it's a 4th of July pillow. I cannot remember the name of it. And I've shown it on my live back in the past couple of times. But me and my girlfriend was doing it together. We were on the phone. We weren't even Zooming. We were just talking on the phone. And we were doing the project together. I was doing the project on my 10 needle machine, and she was doing the project on her single needle machine, but we were still working it out. So obviously we were using different hoops and all that kind of stuff. So it worked out. We figured it out and it worked out. And Cindy said that is Kelly with the 4x4 on Sean's live. Yeah, I couldn't remember her name, but I did remember that she used the 4x4 because she is using a repositional hoop. And believe it or not, I have a repositional hoop. I've never used it before. Never used it before. So it was good to see that she got comfortable with using it and doing the work. Number one, two, three, four, five. Number six. You need to make sure that common errors and corrections are discussed. So if there's something, be careful about this or be careful about that. If you don't do it this way, this may happen and this is the way to resolve that. Those things need to be added. Number seven, the learner practices a skill, not only watches a reveal. If you're going to learn how to do something, and if you're like me, you got to do it. I can't learn if I'm just watching. I can get the gist of it and I can figure out in my own head that I can do this. This looks like I can handle this, but am I going to actually be able to do it or know that I can do it or learn it? Not unless I actually do it. I have to apply my own skills with it. Robin says she's never used her repositional hoop either. I've never used it, got it, never used it. And Evelyn Warner says I'm enjoying the process and camaraderie, and Sean and Linda keep it moving. Yeah, it is interesting to watch. Number 8, paid students receive the promise and the access or support. Basically, what they're saying, you get your money's worth. If I pay you for the class, I want to know, do I have access to you after the class, before the class, during the class? Am I going to get support from you? This lady that did the surgeon class that I took, it was hems and borders and something like that, structure. And her handout that she gave us has her email address and her phone number on there. And she honestly told us that we can call her, text her, email her. And I was like, and somebody said, "Well, what are your hours?" And she said, "Any hours." Now, I'm not going to promise you I'm going to respond. And I don't have my phone by my bed. So even if you call me at a time where I'm sleeping, it's not going to disturb me. I'll get back to you when I can. But I'm not turning down emails and texts and phone calls because if you ask me for help, I will help you. I was impressed with that. And who knows, I may take her up on that at some point. But I thought that that was a pretty good gesture, very generous gesture to do that for the class because I don't know how many classes she teaches, and there's a whole lot of people that could be calling you up and bugging you. But it reminds me of the lady that does the mighty hoop that I usually use when I'm buying mighty hoops, Kathy Hogg. She has a YouTube channel, and I can't remember the name of it, but she gives a lot of tutorial on how to use the different YouTube, and she's very good with her sales. Um, you can call her up or you can leave a message. She will literally call you back. She'll talk you through whatever question you have and advise you as to what type of mighty hoop you need to purchase for whatever project that you want. So I think that's pretty good. It's a good way of doing business. Um, Number 9, costs, renewals, refunds, and access periods are clear. You need to make sure that you know what the exact cost of the class is going to be. if there's going to be a renewal fee for if it's like a series or something, can you get a refund if you don't aren't able to participate in the class or whatever the situation is? And what is the access period? If you pay for this class and is recorded, how long do I have access to that class? If I pay for it, I can't attend, but it's recorded. Can I look at it? Do I have a year, 3 months, 6 months, 30 days, 2 weeks, whatever? You need to know all of those things. And the number 10, and these are the 10 points of class quality tests. These are the questions and things you need to ask before you put your money out. What is the skill and can it be applied to another project afterwards? So if I learn how to miter a corner, I pay you to take a class to miter corners. Can I learn how to do it and then go forward mitering corners from this point on? Perfect example for me again. When Eve was doing her embroidery stuff, she used to offer classes. And one of the classes that she offered was doing applique. I was one person that I didn't, applique was just like a foreign language to me because I bought an applique design off of Etsy with no instruction. And I had no clue what I was doing. I did not it did not make sense to me because the tack down stitch, the reposition, all of that stuff, the position line and cutting and stuff, none of that stuff was on there. So I didn't know what to do with it. I just saw this design and it popped up in my machine with different processes, but no explanation. So I immediately thought, I can't do appliques. I can't. So I developed this fear of appliques. So I decided to take the class. Thank goodness, because I learned how to do appliques. Now I know it's a piece of cake, no big deal. But I was so glad that I was able to take that class and learn and now go forward with the skill that I picked up from that one class and go forward with doing appliques from that point on because I learned the skill. And it wasn't even a hands-on class. No, it wasn't a hands-on class. But I watched her. She demonstrated every one, reverse, um, the raw edges, all of that, applique. And I watched her and learned how to do applique. So now I'm not afraid of doing applique. So if you pay for a course, you need to make sure that the course meets at least 8 to 10 of those points before you decide to pay it. And it may be probably worth considering it seriously. If it only meets about 4 of those points, then you need to stop and think about it because that may not be the course that you want to take because it's not going to give you what you need. It may not be something that is going to be, useful to you. And all of those stuff pertains to all of the different courses and stuff that you take, whether it's quilting, um, and I'm going to tell you about some classes or some people basically that are good instructors, I will put it that way. And this one kind of surprised me because it came on the top of the list through my AI, but it's also on the top of my list for me personally, and that is Just Get It Done Quilts. Now, Miss Joy, I don't know if you have seen this site. It's Just Get It Done with Karen Brown. And she's one of my first recommendations for a foundation skill. She has a lot of videos and she is a good instructor. I think her tone, her demeanor, her presence is very inviting. She gives you act helps you to understand accuracy, organization, cutting, pressing, binding, and all of the things that you need to know. And she is really good with her tools and fabrics and stuff. And she goes through her videos aren't that long, so you don't get bored. but you do learn a lot from her, and that is Just Get It Done Quilts with Karen Brown. The next one for me, and I'm going to skip over one and go back to it, but the next one that's listed on here for me is the Fat Quarter Shop. It's especially valuable for organized and quilt alongs, blocks of the month, and pattern supports. And a learner who likes a schedule and repeated blocks can thrive there. That is the site that I use to learn how to quilt. That's the very first quilt that I made. I watched their beginner quilt series of at least 9 videos, and it was sequential. And it taught you step 1, step 2, you went through at least 9 blocks, or I had 9 blocks. So it went through at least 9 blocks, 9 videos. I think it was more than that, because not only did you do 9 blocks, and each video was a block. She showed you how to cut it out, how to, do chains, sewing, everything that you needed to know about how to make a quilt. She did it with all the blocks, and all the blocks were different. And you had the flying geese, and you had all kinds of stuff, and I can't remember half of them, but I did every one of them. And then she shows you how to sandwich it and quilt it and do the binding. So it did from the beginning to the end in this series, which is free. So I highly recommend that to anybody that wants to start learning how to quilt and you don't know how, you've never done it before. That would be my recommendation. My second recommendation, which is not on this list, and this is personal, because I know I can't cut a straight line. And I decided after I made that quilt, if I wanted to get into quilting going forward, I needed to invest in an AccuQuilt. So if anybody is considering that and they haven't done it, or if they have one and you haven't used it, AccuQuilt has a beginner video as well, and it's a series too, sequential, on making a quilt, because I made that quilt as well using my AccuQuilt, and how to use the AccuQuilt machine, cutting out your pieces and putting it together and everything. And I was able to create my second quilt going with that series. So again, Back Quarter Shop, that's everything cut by hand. The AccuQuilt video, and a guy is, and I don't remember his name, but there's a man that runs this series, and I don't know how many it is, 5 or 6, I believe, and you'll have a complete quilt made. So the next one is Missouri Star. Missouri Star is one of the largest free quilting libraries available. It has a friendly approach. It uses pre-cut friendly projects, and they welcome many people into quilting. It is excellent for inspiration, approachable blocks, and projects that create a quick success. Just remember, because many videos are individual projects, a learner should deliberately fill in foundational skills instead of assuming the project library is a curriculum. So you are learning projects, not necessarily the quilting skill, but it is definitely something worth looking into. And Claudette, you said Karen Brown is very good. You've learned a lot from her. I have too. I like her a lot. And also like Donna Jordan from Jordan Fabrics, although she recently has passed. Yes, and she is definitely on my list. Exactly. She is the next one. Jordan Fabrics is an excellent next step for watching and efficient cutting and construction. Donna Jordan, which we all know is unalive now, unfortunately, often shows a logical project flow and many tutorials to connect with free patterns. Pat Sloan is another one, which is useful for quilt-alongs and ongoing community and developing confidence through repeated practice. Now back to Jordan Fabric. If I'm not mistaken, her husband has taken it over, and so she is still online. And you have to remember you got to separate piecing from quilting. If the top is finished but the sandwich makes you nervous, then Angela Walters is a major resource for free motion quilting and borders, backgrounds, and ruler work. And there's Leah Day, also has a deep library of free motion designs and domestic machine quilting. Now there are also different sites that are for more advanced learners, which is recommended that you don't get into that until you get the general basic process of quilting down. Then you can move into foundation paper piecing, curves, art quilting, and like Robin mentioned, paint, quilting, appliques, feather work, ruler work, all of those long arm um, techniques and all of those kinds of things. So it is interesting in those are the different ones. So there are certain stages. Your foundation stage would be somebody like Karen Brown for Just Get It Done or So Very Easy, and it is for accuracy and pressing and cutting. Your first project, Missouri Star or Fat Quarter Shop, is a good place to go. They concentrate in blocks and pre-cuts and quilt-alongs. And then for efficient construction, Jordan Fabrics and Pat Sloan, they build confidence through different projects. And then quilting the top, piecing, Angela Walters and Leah Day, and they help you with loose walking foot, free motion quilting, rulers, and motifs. And then if you want to get into advanced, then you have to look at different technical specialists or workshops, and they go through some of the other things, including long arm. And the mistake that beginners need to avoid, choosing advanced quilt because the instructor calls it easy. Easy to an instructor who has made 200 quilts is not automatically easy to somebody still learning how to do a quarter-inch seam. So be very, very careful when how they describe what this course, tutorial, or class is for. Ask questions. Follow your gut, especially if you're paying money. If you do not think you know how to do whatever it is that they're talking about, don't take that class. Don't pay for that class unless you feel like you can keep up or catch up or whatever, because you may very well be wasting your money. The first quilt you does not need to prove your talent. It's a job to teach you the process. And that's why I took the course with Fat Quarter Shop. It was part of our Zoom project. We as a group in our Zoom, our Wednesday night Zoom, the Social Society crew, decided we were going to do a quilt. And I had been the one saying I would never do quilting because I didn't think it made sense, but I agreed to go along with the group and do a quilt. Never did a quilt before in my life, so I decided I got to learn how to quilt since I agreed to do the quilt. And I looked up and I found the Fat Quarter Shop and realized they had a course and it was free. So I did it. Very glad, not disappointed at all, because it taught me how to quilt. I'm still not, well, I won't say I'm not a quilter because I've made 3 quilts so far, but I'm still learning. I'm still a baby at quilting. But I'm much, 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 much more comfortable with quilting now than I was a year ago when I made my first quilt. I've made 3 since then. And the last one I made that we showed last month, I used the EQ8 software, created my own design and my own pattern, and cut my stuff out with the AccuQuilt. I didn't have nobody to instruct me to follow any video or anything, and I put that puppy together, and you guys saw it hanging on the wall. And let me turn. You can see the red, white, and blue one is hanging on the wall. Now, that's the quilt that I did, and I'm very proud of it because I did all of that by myself without any guidance, no instruction, no looking at a video, none of that stuff. And I did it. I pieced it together. I created the pattern. I cut it out. I pieced it together. I sandwiched it. I quilted it on my machine. Did the edge to edge on the machine, and then I bind it. So now I am a full-fledged quilt, I guess. So moving right along, I'm gonna make some more. So Claudette said, yes, so I like how she showed you how to make quilt without needing a lot of special equipment. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully, Miss Joy, especially because I know you were asking the question about quilting and everything, that you feel comfortable enough to be able to make a decision about a class that you might want to take in learning how to quilt. And I do have a quiz. There's a lot more stuff, but I want to get to the quiz part first. And to talk a little bit about embroidery. And embroidery class is a little bit different than a quilting class. And I have there's a lot of people out here that will do beginning embroidery. I don't have a lot of recommendation for you personally because I don't watch a lot of beginner quilting channels because I don't consider myself a beginner anymore. When I was a beginner, I watched The Baby's Booty with Eve. I watched um, Creative Applique and a few more that I don't even remember their names anymore. But once I started quilting with comfort and confidence, I stopped watching a lot of the beginner quilting channels. So now when I'm watching things about quilting, they are usually project specific. So a lot of the beginner quilting classes and stuff are kind of hard to find. Um, because play well, they're kind of hard to find. I just put it that way. They usually will put emphasis on projects. So be careful with that. There are a few that will give you the basics, but um, they're not as far as I know, they're not as prevalent as a lot of them want to get in the hoops, or they want to get into zipper pouches, or they want to get into digitizing, or they want to make you show you how to make a tote or some type of project, but not give you the basics of how to use a machine, what kind of stabilizer to use, how to hoop, all of those things. And those are the things that you really need to learn when you are beginning embroidery. At least that's the information that I think that you need. Sometimes I think it's very so. Let's get into the quiz. It is quiz time. Finding out what kind of craft or learning you are. Of course, there's no wrong answers. They're the A, B, C's, and D's as usual. And keep up with your own answers so we can score it at the end. How many B's you have, A's you have, C's and D's and so forth. Be sure that you are keeping up with that, and then we'll talk about it. So I have, how many questions? I have uh, 6, 7, 8 questions, I believe. Yep, 8 questions. So let's get into it right away. Number one, You want to learn a new technique. What sounds best? Question is, you want to learn a new technique. What sounds best? A course that starts at lesson 1 and builds in order. A course that starts at lesson 1 and builds in order. B, a complete project I can make while learning. A complete project I can make while learning. C, a live teacher who can answer me when I get stuck. C, a live teacher who can answer me when I get stuck. And D, several videos and articles so I can develop my own method. The question is, when you want to learn a new technique, what sounds best? A course that starts at lesson 1 and builds in order, sequential. B, a complete project I can make while learning. You want to learn how to make a tote, so you want the whole thing from beginning to end, how to put that tote together. C, a live instructor, be it a Zoom or you go to a class, that can answer you when you get stuck. Or D, several videos and articles so you can develop your own method. So we got one. Okay, B, okay, keep coming. See how many people. I'm going to grade myself while we go. Okay. Question number 2. When a tutorial moves too quickly, what do you usually do? We are all familiar with that. Question number 2. When a tutorial moves too quickly, what do you usually do? Now, Evelyn, you have answer A. If you put number 1 by it, then you remember it was your first question. So just want to remind you of that. Okay, question number 2. When a tutorial moves too quickly, what do you usually do? A, look for a slower, organized series. B, rewind the project steps until your mind matches so you keep up or catch up. C, ask in the comment or find a live group. Or D, search for 3 other explanations. So when a tutorial moves too quickly, what do you do? A would be look for a slower organized series. B, rewind the project step until you figure it out. C, ask in the comments if you're going through something that's, I would assume live, or you can, hopefully they'll get back to you with an answer. Or you find a live group. Now, who put in there? Number 2, Robin. There's no N. What letter is next to N? That's B. Okay, I guess you're supposed to be a B. Okay, C, ask the comment, D, search for 3 other explanations. So we are on question number 3 now. Question number 3. What makes you feel most successful? A, mastering skills in the correct sequence. B, holding a finished project in your hand. C, receiving helpful feedback from another person. Or D, solving the problem independently. Number 3 question again. What makes you feel most successful? A, you mastered the skill in the correct sequence. You learn how to do it step by step by step. B, you are holding a finished project in your hand. You completed that project. C, you received some helpful feedback from another person that helped you out with that project. Or D, you figure out how to solve that problem all on your own. Number 4. What frustrates you the most? Number 4. What frustrates you the most? A, random information with no starting point. I don't know what that is, Lord. B, too much theory before we make anything. Yeah. C, being stuck with nobody to ask. Or D, rules that leave no room to experiment. Okay, that's number 4. What frustrates you the most? A, random information with no starting point. B, too much theory before we make anything. B, being stuck with nobody to ask. D, rules that leave no room to experiment. Okay, question number 5. If you pay for a class, what matters most? If you pay for a class, what matters most? A complete curriculum and permanent access. B, a beautiful project pattern and supply list. C, live help, critique, or a small class. D, advanced information I cannot easily find elsewhere. So if you come out of your pocket, pay for a class, this is what matters most to you. A complete curriculum with permanent access. B, a beautiful project pattern and supply list. C, live help, critique, or a small class. Or D, advanced information I cannot easily find. That one's a little tricky for me. Okay, question. Am I going too fast? I see answers for 4. Okay, here we get some 5s coming. Okay, good. Good, 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 good. Okay, number 6. How do you approach a new machine? Okay, how do you approach a new machine? A, work through the manual and beginner lessons. That ain't me. Should be. B, choose a simple project and learn as I go. C, ask the dealer or an experienced owner to show you. Okay, Marina, I got you. Um, D, press buttons, test and research whatever happens. Oh, they know me too well. Okay. Number 6, again. How do you approach a new machine? A, work through the manual and beginner lessons. B, choose a simple project and learn as you go. C, ask the dealer or an experienced owner to show you. Or D, press buttons, test and research whatever happens. Horrible. I just know that's me. Oh, sorry about that. I'm the button presser. It didn't blow up, so it must be okay. Number 7. What does your saved video list look like? I got a long list. What does your saved video list looks like? That's the question to number 7. A, playlist arranged by skill. B, lots of projects I want to make. C, replays from teachers and groups I trust. Or D, a fascinating mixture that only I understand. All righty, number 7, I'm going to repeat that. What does your saved video list look like? Number 7. A playlist arranged by skill. B, lots of projects I want to make. C, replays from teachers and groups I trust. And D, a fascinating mixture that only I understand. That's a hard one for me as well. Number 8. When you make a mistake, what helps most? When you make a mistake. Hi, Making with Marilyn. Your name just popped up and didn't know you were on. When you make a mistake, what helps most? A checklist showing where the process changed. B, comparing my work with the instructor's next step. C, showing it to someone discussing it. Or D, testing scraps until I identify the cause. Here's the question one more time. When you make a mistake, what helps you most? You got a checklist showing where the process changed. I messed up, and where did I mess up at? Can I figure that out? B, comparing my work with the instructor's next step. I must be behind because I did this and she did that. What happened? C, showing it to someone and discussing it, possibly. And D, testing scraps until I identify the cause. That's number 8. Okay, Marina, you wanted me to go over number 1. Are you ready? Marina, number 1, the question is, you want to learn a new technique. What sounds best? A course that starts at lesson 1 and builds in order. Carol says, Spring River. Oh, number B, a complete project I can make while learning. Now, these are when you're learning a new technique. A course that starts at lesson 1 and builds in order. B is a complete project I can make while learning. C, a live teacher who can answer me when I get stuck. And D, several videos and articles so I can develop my own method. That's question number 1. So, okay. Did you get it, Marina? Carol, Seam number 8. Girl, that's a good answer right there. You mess up, you need a seam ripper. Oh, okay. So count your letters, and your highest letter is the main learning style. A tie simply means you benefit from a combination, because I'm a lot of combination on this one. I tell you, I'm looking at that and I said, wait a minute, I could do this or I could do that. So everybody ready for the scores? Add all your A's, B's, C's, and D's up. See what your style is. Okay, so we got some combos on here. Okay. All righty. The first one, Pearl. You got 3 C's and 3 B's, so you're a combination. And let me see the results for a, what are you, combination B and C? B. B is you are the project powered learner. You need to make something, quilt along, sew alongs, and complete project tutorials to keep you motivated. Your challenge is to stop occasionally and name the skill you just learned so you can use it again. So you basically love projects. And your combos with C. So C is you are the supported stitcher. Interaction matters. You benefit from dealers, guilds, Zoom classes, retreats, memberships with live Q&A, and small groups. Paying for access and feedback may offer you more value than buying another recorded library. So you're a B and a C. Robin, you are an A, 5 A's. So you are the pathway planner. You are the pathway planner. You learn best from a structured beginner to advanced course. Organized playlists, written lessons, and a logical sequence. Random browsing makes you feel as if pieces are missing. So you are very structured. Uh, and Miss Joy, you are a combo B and A. So I'm going to A is the pathway planner, B is the project powered learner. So do we have any C's? Sherry, you are a B3, C3. Wait a minute now. 1A, 1B, 3 C's, and 3D's. Okay, you're a combo with C's and D's. So I haven't read D yet. D is you are the curious explorer. You research, compare, and experiment. You may become very resourceful, but your danger is collecting information without finishing a learning path. Give your exploration a deadline and a practice project. So you like to explore and research and compare. That is uh, combined with C, which is a supported stitcher where interaction matters. So you benefit from interacting with other people. Evelyn, you are 3 A's, so you're back at A's, which is a pathway planner. You learn best from structured beginner to advanced courses. So we all are some of everything on here. Some of everything. Me, I am basically a combo, but I put myself down as a B because I was on the fence at several of them, but I have 1A, 3 B's, 2 C's, and 2 D's. So being a B, I am a project powered learner. I need to make something. Quilt along, sew alongs, and complete project tutorials keeps me motivated. That's true. My challenge is to stop occasionally and name the skill that you just learned so you can use it again. That's pretty true because I know that if I watch a tutorial or something, I'm usually watching it because I want to learn the skill or how to do it, but I want to finish it. That part I know. And can I duplicate that particular project? Probably not without watching the video again. So at Creative Notion, hi, how are you? And you are 4 A's. Okay, so you are the, what is that? I just read. You are the Pathway plan. You learn best from structured beginner to advanced courses. You like to go sequential. And I do too, but I guess the other one overruled that rather. So, um, let me see. I did talk about just a little bit about paid, free to YouTubes are paid. So, YouTube is free and it may be completely sufficient when you're learning in the beginning. Terminology, testing whether you enjoy a craft, solving one specific problem, reviewing a familiar technique, or completing a project. Uh, is available for free, but free does have hidden costs, and that's your time. You may spend hours sorting conflicting advice, which is true. That's the other thing I do want to point out. When you are watching some of these YouTube tutorials, be sure you use those 10 points, even though you're not paying money. You want to make sure that that tutorial or class or whatever you're taking is going to be beneficial to you. If they're not offering you all the information that you need, then that's time wasted that you could go elsewhere and get that information. And oftentimes you will find people that will put out content and tell you how they do this. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. This is how I do it. Which is okay because that's their, this is how you do it. But if you don't have the basics in quilting or you don't have the basics in embroidery, if you don't have the basics in sewing, that this is how I do it may not be the best thing to learn because they may not do it correctly, and you will find that out down the line when you try to incorporate some of their skills or some of their uh, habits into another project and you realize it does not work. There is a certain way to miter corners. There's a certain way to do a perfect hem. There's a certain way to do quarter-inch seams and piecing, doing quilt piecing. There is a process that has been put together a certain way to kind of guarantee that that project is going to come out perfect. Like some people don't iron nothing. I was looking at somebody doing um, a bandana tote because I'm, looking at that while I'm working on another project. I've been looking at videos, and I looked at this one particular lady, and she has this bandana. And when you buy bandanas, it's been folded, it's got creases here, there, and everywhere. And she did not iron not one doggone piece. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, "You gonna cut this thing out, and you haven't even ironed it? Your measurements aren't going to be correct." She ironed it after the fact when she got ready to put her fleece on it or whatever she put on there, batting, whatever it was. And I was astonished because I'm like, I would never do that. I would never cut out a piece of fabric anywhere without ironing it. You got to iron the creases out of it. How and not iron, press. Because you don't want to stretch the fabric and all of that kind of stuff, especially when you're quilting. Got to keep that in mind. That's another thing. When you're learning, are they teaching you to press or are they teaching you to iron? There's, those things are important in quilting and what have you. I didn't know that, but I've learned it listening to other people talk about quilting and how to do it best and make your points come out and all of that stuff. So you got to know how to press, not iron. But anyway, I was just so surprised that she did not iron the creases out of her bandana before she cut it. It just blew my mind. I make that point because sometimes when you're watching people do tutorials, you have to make sure that they're doing the things correctly according to industry standards. I'm a stickler on that. I like to learn how to do something in with that's industry standard. How do you know if it's industry standard? Well, first of all, you look at people that are very reputable, that've been out there doing things 20, 30, 40 years. You can trust that they know what they're talking about or they wouldn't still be profitable and out there that long if they didn't know. And then there are books. I read books as well. There has to be standards. There's standards in everything. Then you go from there. And one thing that is standard, when you taught in sewing classes and home economics in the middle school, you iron your fabric. And in quilting, not only do they want you to iron it, they want you to starch it. And some people say to wash it. Now that's up in the air about the washing. Some people wash, some people don't. But you definitely need to iron your fabrics, press your fabric, starch it, all that stuff before you cut. That's standard, standard, standard. And when you see people from the beginning start off doing something that is not what you consider standard, for me, I don't trust what they do. I may still watch them just to see the process, but as far as me having the I don't want to say respect, but I don't trust them to be the ones to be my teacher or my mentor. I'll look and see what they did, how it turned out, and move on. But when I get ready to do it for myself, I will be following someone else that is more in tune with what I consider to be standard. That's just how I am. And Evelyn, you keep saying somebody keeps putting this praying in here. Evelyn Warner, I enjoy watching the differences in creatives. I do too, because everybody does things differently. And Cindy, that is part of the YouTube I like watching. I like a fumble on the football field. I boo out loud and I say score. Yep, yep, yep. That can be fun. And Robin, I see a lot of people not ironing their fabric. I can't get with that. And Evelyn, I see lately finger pressing. Yes, I see a lot of finger pressing as well. And I'm not against finger pressing. That I'm not against finger pressing because that does work. And then they have the little roller thing that you can use to flatten stuff out while you're still stitching. But I'm talking about in the very beginning before you cut the fabric. But anyway, I digress. That's just how I am. But what I'm saying is when you are making a decision, when you're trying to learn how to do something, try to find someone that does it industry standard. After you've learned the basics, then you can move on to your shortcuts and workarounds and all that kind of stuff, what works for you, because everybody has their own way of doing stuff. I know I have my own way of doing stuff. When I first started embroidering, you got to measure this, measure that, get your X's. Now, when people do t-shirts, you just kind of fold in half, iron it. There's your middle crease. So you got the middle instead of having to do all the measurement. That's just a cheat that a lot of people do. But I didn't do that from the beginning. But once I got confident in what I'm doing and understanding the process, then you can come up with your shortcuts. But you got to understand the process, and somebody needs to teach that to you before you start doing the shortcut. If you start off with the shortcuts, you're going to perhaps have issues. That's all I can say. That's just kind of how I feel. Creative Notion said, I do see a difference with starching. I do too. And Miss Joyce, I'm not against finger pressing while you're sewing, but when you finish, you need to press out those seams. I agree with that 100%. And I press. I press, I stitch, I press, I stitch, I press, I stitch, I press. And I have to tell you, it makes your pieces beautiful. You can be proud of it. You can see your mistakes too. You can see whether or not your points are matching. It gives you the opportunity, as Carol says, to pull out the seam ripper before you put everything together. And then you look at it and you got all of these, your whole block is off because nothing's matching up. But if you stitch it and press it, that ain't matching. Ooh, that's off. You got the opportunity to take rip it, fix it, and go forward. Cindy said the fat quarter lady is a firm believer on starching. Yes. And that's where I learned how to do quilting. And Marina, I like to use Clover's folding fabric pen too. I like to start. I don't know what Clover's folding fabric pen is. What is that, Marina? I use Clover's seam ripper and the fabric pen. I don't know what that is. I'm trying to think. That one skips my mind. But So there are local classes, live classes. While I was at the expo, I ran across a person that wasn't selling anything, but was giving out information about this area's community sewing and embroidery uh, program that they have not far from me, and I signed up for it to get the newsletter. They have classes, they have everything. And I was really glad to see that because I did not know that this stuff was around. I knew there were some quilt shops and what have you that's not too far away from me, even though I haven't been to any of them yet. But to know that there is an organization that's in my area that does classes on quilting, they even do classes on long arm. They rent long time with the long arm. They will do long arm for you, but they also rent time where you can take your project in and rent the long arm and do it yourself. They will teach you how to do it, all of that. And then they also have sewing classes and what have you. So I was impressed with that. I said, oh, that sounds pretty pretty good. That might be something I want to get into. So check out your community. Just Google and see sewing classes, free sewing class, community sewing class, or embroidery, or quilting guild, all that stuff. Google, as my son will tell you, his favorite thing to tell me, Google is your friend. Something you want to know, Google. Before you even ask the question, Google. 9 times out of 10, it has an answer for you. And also, not only Google, I have been turning towards my AI a lot when I have questions. I will get on my computer and go to my AI and ask the question, and you will be surprised with the answers. So there are a lot of ways of finding things out, what's available, where it is, how much it costs, what the phone numbers are, the addresses, all that kind of stuff, so you can find your local areas that provide live classes or online classes of the things that you may be interested in. And most importantly, a lot of that stuff is free. Um, and Marina, you said, I think I used that fabric pen. Also, it container with starch in it that you put down your seams with. And Marina said it's a liquid pen that helps to make a temporary fold, especially when doing the flip and fold quilting method. Okay, I was not aware of that. It's okay. I kind of think I know what you're talking about. I actually do have a pen that does that. So yeah, it's just not a clover. So I learned a little bit more about that when I took my surging class this past weekend when I went to the expo. I learned about a lot of stuff. It was fun, a lot of fun. So I did go to the expo. There is an expo out in Virginia that's coming in September. I went to that when I lived out there. I have to admit, I was a lot happier with my classes with the expo that I went to here. I was a little disappointed with the vendors here. It wasn't a lot of them were small vendors, which I think that's the norm. Didn't have a lot of big name vendors. And for me, some of the products were a little old. They were drab looking. I wasn't impressed with some of the stuff. A lot of antique stuff and whatever. And I'm old, but I don't want none of that. The other thing that really kind of disappointed me with this one was the people weren't giving discounts, and I guess that's the time of the sign of the times right now with tariffs and all of that kind of stuff. And I even asked several places. The only place that I went to was the Floriani booth, and they were giving a 30% off discount for everything except for their bundles. I don't know if the bundles were more or less or not at all, but the threads and ruler, they had the what is Quilt Select rulers and a lot of different whatever Floriani sells. They had that stuff there, and I didn't know they had fusible thread. I bought me some fusible thread. I learned that in surgery class. They said the Floriani booth has it. I went straight there and got that $20 spool of thread. But I did get a discount. I got me a Quilt Select ruler, and I did, of course, naturally bought some thread. Who can go to Floriani and not get Floriani thread? But they were the only ones that were doing discount. Everybody else, I asked them, "Is this the expo price? Is this your expo price? This price?" Uh-huh. Everybody said, "Yep, we're not discounting. We're not discounting. We're not discounting." So Miss Joy said, "Where did I go?" I went to a little town about 30 miles away from me called Overland Park, Kansas, which is one of the nicer areas. It was at the convention center, and it was the original sewing and quilt expo that they have in several different places every year. I think there are at least 6, 7, 8 different places per year that they are. And so I went there, and it wasn't bad. The quilts were gorgeous. Oh, I saw some beautiful quilts. Absolutely gorgeous quilts and very innovative and creative quilts. They had different categories and stuff like that. I didn't win anything. That's just pretty much how I am. I never win. I went Thursday and Friday. I did not go Saturday, which was the last day. I had other plans for Saturday, so I only went Thursday and Friday. So that's what I did. Evelyn said you should come to Lakeland, Florida Expo. If I'm down there where my son is during that time, I might just do that. I know where Lakeland is. And Marina, I think it's harder for smaller vendors to offer discount. They can't absorb the cost as much as larger companies. I agree. I know. I know. Sign of the time. And Cindy, did Floriani have an updated thread chart booklet that is on my list? I did not look or ask for a thread chart because I have one that I've had for a while, so it wasn't even on my radar. And Marina, I want to go to the original expo in Orlando this coming year. Okay, go and tell me how it is. Miss Joy, the Road to California is one of the biggest quilt shows I've heard about coming up in January. Yeah, I'm not that much interested, in be all honesty, in going to a quilt show per se, because the emphasis obviously is on quilting, and my main niche is embroidery. That's why I'm going to the Everything Embroidery Market Expo in first part of October, going the 30th of September through the 3rd. We're going a day early so I can be there on the 1st to take a class with Lisa Shaw, a stitch artist class. It's several known names there doing classes and what have you at this particular convention in Biloxi, Mississippi. So I will be there. Sherry, we're supposed to be there meeting up. Hopefully we will. And I hope it'll be one or two more. But I'm looking forward to that because the emphasis is on embroidery. And I've been to quilt shows. I just want to go and see what's the difference I know some of the vendors and the classes, they have a lot of classes. The problem with that, one, they aren't cheap. Two, a lot of the classes that I'm interested in, I've already got my classes in my room and my flight and stuff, so I'm set. But a lot of the classes that I was interested in the times conflicted. I want this one and I want that one, but they're at the same time. So, you got to pick which one. Evelyn Warner said EEM should be good. I think it will be. I'm looking forward to it. And making with Maryland, do you go to the KC Maker Studio and Fabric? It's also in Kansas City area. I would like to take their long arm quilting class. No, I have not. I think I've seen that name, so I need to look it up. KC Maker Studio and Fabrics. I know I have not been to any quilt shop since I've been here, but I do know that there are several of them over in the Kansas area. And see, the thing about here, most of the things are in the surrounding area of Kansas City, which makes sense. But there's a lot of, you got to drive here, there, and everywhere. And I don't do a lot of highway driving, all that kind of stuff. So I don't get out to all of them, but I'm venturing out a little better than I was because I did go to the convention on my own. I drove myself because I wasn't going to try to convince my husband and drag him because he wasn't going to do it. I'm lucky and thankful enough that he is going to Biloxi, Mississippi with me for the EEM. And my plan is to drag him in there at least one day that we're there so he can kind of get an idea of what goes on at these conventions and see stuff. And he kind of likes to look at stuff and tinker around and kind of see what I do. So I think he'll enjoy that. But if I can get a few hours of him with me on that, I will be lucky. But I wasn't going to push my luck and try to get him to go with this one over in Overland Park. Since when I lived here years ago, Overland Park was my stomping ground, so I was kind of familiar with the area anyway. So it really wasn't a big deal for going over there, and it is not that far away. And Miss Joy, I might can swing the airplane, but I need a roommate. Where are you going that you need a roommate? Anyone else going to this EEM? Well, I got a roommate, and um, that's a good question. Anybody else want to go with Miss Joy? She needs a roommate. She can get there, but don't want to pay for the whole room by herself. And I ain't mad at her. I don't blame her. You can get a roommate that makes it easier on everybody. So put it out there and see who's interested in it. You might be able to find someone that wants to go as well, and maybe that was the reason why they weren't going because they didn't want to have to put the whole bill on their own. If my man wasn't going with me, Miss Joy, then we would be roomies. But that's already been um been taken care of right now. So but hopefully you'll be able to go and hopefully you'll be able to get a roommate. I'll be checking in the rest of the community. Do that. Do that because you might enjoy it. I've not been to EEM yet. I heard about it a few years ago and I didn't go. And when it popped up again, I decided I was going to definitely try to go because I just wanted to see. This is the first and only one that was specifically listed as a embroidery expo. So I wanted to check that out to see what it was about. And Cindy, if you end up in Lakely for 2027, there is an airplane museum he may enjoy. Okay. And Sherry, Miss Joy, I will be there too, getting there Wednesday and leaving on Sunday. Okay, so Miss Sherry, you and I will be coming and going at the same time. I'm coming Wednesday, leaving Saturday. No, I'm leaving Saturday. I'm not leaving Sunday. I really wanted to be honest about it, but I didn't want to spend an extra day money. Money can get funny because there was definitely a course I wanted to take on Saturday. And I thought about it and thought about it, but I changed my mind and said, no, girl, get your behind up and go home. Yep. Okay, well, it is almost 9:30, so we've had a really busy and good show, hopefully. Uh, could you reach out to my email, Miss Sherry? Okay. And I don't know, Sherry, if she's coming with her husband or not. I know we talked about it briefly, but anyway, don't forget thumbs up, subscribe, comments, the notification bell. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. And I'm going to sign off because, of course, tomorrow's Wednesday and I go to work. Haven't been to work since last Wednesday. I was off a whole week, so I feel good about that because I went to the expo. But time to go back to the grind, so gotta go to bed. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and say good night to everybody, and I will talk to you guys later. So you guys have a wonderful, blessed rest of your week, and we will talk again soon. And I do appreciate all of the support. Take care, everybody. Good night.